Hi, Sadies. How are you doing? Welcome to Simnai. I hope you are great. So, I love the fact that some people are bold enough because tell me how somebody would just dislike you for your skin color, nothing more. So, this beautiful black woman got a job, and I think she did all her interview on, got the job, and they called her on, on phone. So, the manager probably thought she's white, right? So, only for a black person to come appear. So I think she told other people that, oh, that she sounded white. That was why she employed her, only to find out that she is black, right? So the young lady started the job, and while on the job, the woman was just making her very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And at some point, she couldn't take it because it was obvious that she was being blatantly racist towards her. And then why she tried resigning, and she told the office and all that why she was resigning. When they found out, guess what they did? They sacked the manager and also gave her a raise and made her stay back because racism is actually not allowed. Some people will tell you that stop talking about racism. When you stop talking about it, it will go away. Shut the hell up because you guys are lying. I've been talking about this thing for how many years and nothing has gone away. It looks like every day we see worse than it used to be. And some people will gaslight you into thinking they are being truthful and all that. You all be lying way too much. Racism of any type is not okay. It is not allowed. And in an organization, that is a no-no. Let's get into this.
To all of you who are upset that I use my page to discuss racism and think that by doing so I am further perpetuating it and I should simply ignore it to make it go away, that might single-handedly be the dumbest piece of advice that I have ever received in my entire life. If somebody were to break into your home to rob you, ignoring them would not make them less likely to do so. And silence has never been an effective deterrent in discouraging racism or any other social issue. So with that being said, here's the story time about the time that my racist manager lost her job for being a racist because I chose not to be silent. A long time ago, I worked at Lane Bryant, which is a plus-size clothing store for those of you who do not know. And I worked in California, but I was moving to Arizona to go to school. And I needed a job immediately because I was going to be moving into an apartment. I wasn't staying on campus, and I needed a way to pay for my rent. So I wanted to transfer from my position in California to Arizona, and I needed the approval of my store manager to do so. She was wonderful. She set up the whole thing, and then I interviewed with the store manager in Arizona, and everything went well. She told me that she really liked my vibe, that she heard good things about me, and that she was excited for me to start working there. I was moving there in August to start school in fall, and I was going to be starting my job a couple days after school started, but there wasn't going to be a lot of time from me moving to Arizona and starting my new job. So I didn't have a lot of time to introduce myself and meet. Everything was done over the phone, and then I was just supposed to show up for my first day of work. So on my first day, I get to the store maybe 20 minutes early because I wanted to take the time to meet the team and introduce myself to everybody that I was going to be working with, since all of our interactions had only ever been on the phone. And when I get there are two women standing behind the cash register. And I walk up to the register and I say, "Hi, my name is Angel. I'm transferring from California. I just wanted to meet the team before my scheduled shift." And this lady turns around and looks me up and down in complete disgust and says, "You're Angel?" And again, I say, "Yeah, I think we spoke over the phone," because at that point I recognized her voice from our conversations. And I said, "I'm transferring from California. We discussed this, like, today's supposed to be my first day." And she just says, "If I knew you looked like this, I never would have hired you." And honestly, I was just shocked. But in my head, I thought she was referencing the fact that I was not plus size, because I didn't think she would be being blatantly racist to my face. Or maybe she just thought I was hideous, but I didn't really know what her issue was. And then she completely just ignores me and speaks to the other lady who is at the counter, and she says she'll be doing freight in the back. Please get her set up. So the other lady takes me to the back, which that wasn't super weird for me. I knew I was going to be doing freight because when I got hired in California at my previous job, that was originally what I was hired for. And then eventually I did move to the front to do sales and all of that, but I did both. And I was under the impression that I'd be doing freight as well. So that part wasn't weird in and of itself. It was just her behavior. Anyway, so the second lady takes me to the back. She apologizes and says that there's plenty of people who aren't plus size who worked at Lane Bryant, so she doesn't know what her issue was and that she was going to have a conversation because that was incredibly rude. So then I kind of thought, okay, it was about my size, which I know that would still be wrong, but it was slightly less offensive to me. But little did I know that's not what she was referencing at all. So anyways, I start hanging up the clothes, whatever, getting it all ready for the display and the floor set in the front. And then maybe like an hour into my shift we had headsets so that we could communicate and kind of keep each other updated. So on the headset, the store manager says, "Your people are here. Angel, I need you in the front." And I was super confused because the only person who moved to Arizona with me was my sister, and she was working at her job. And so I knew that there was no way that she would be there, and she wouldn't have come to see me anyways. So it didn't make any sense. But I went to the front and I see this black woman shopping, and she says, "Those are your customers and go handle them." And so, of course, at this point, it's very obvious to me that she's just blatantly a racist. But I'm helping this lady, and the whole time I'm helping her, she's in my headset telling me to watch her, make sure she's not stealing anything because she looks suspicious and she thinks she's taking X, Y, and Z. And the lady, she wasn't trying anything on. She just kept asking me to take stuff back to the register for her or find matching pieces for her and then leave them at the register. So there's nothing that she could have possibly been stealing because she didn't even have a big purse. She just had a tiny little bag on her. And then she was asking me to take everything to the register. So the store manager comes up and she sees the stuff at the register and she says, "I need you to do these go backs before you return to freight." And I said, "Those are not her go backs. That's what she's purchasing. She's still shopping." And then she at that point says, "Oh, if she's buying all of that, I'll handle it from here." And then the lady who I was helping says, "Oh no, she's been helping me this entire time. She can ring me up." And the store manager's like, "We're not commission based. She's going to be working in the back." And then proceeds to take credit for my sale and finish ringing her up and makes me go back to the back. So immediately I was thinking in my head, I need to find a new job. This is ridiculous. But I couldn't just quit because I didn't have another job set up and I needed to be able to afford my rent. As soon as I got home that day, I did start putting in applications for other jobs because there was no way I was going to continue to work for her. But I had to deal with it in the meantime because I couldn't just quit. I needed to pay my rent. So anyways, I was working with her the next morning and I was hanging up all the stuff in the back and we were setting up for a fall winter display. So all of the stuff that we were getting in was pretty dark in color. We had a lot of mauvey purple colors, a lot of rich brown colors, but so far we had only gotten one of the brown tops that were required for the floor display. So once I finished hanging everything up, I was wheeling it out to the front so I could start putting up the display pieces that we did have while we waited for the other stuff to come in. And then I hear, when I get out there to hang stuff up, I'm hanging it up, putting it on the floor, and I hear her crunching on her hot Cheetos, which I forgot to mention that she was obsessed with hot Cheetos and always had hot Cheeto powder underneath her nails that she would transfer to all the clothing, and it was disgusting, but that's irrelevant. She was just sitting there eating her hot Cheetos and staring at me in the corner while I'm working. And then I'm about to put the brown shirt up and the display. And she says, "What should we do with this lonely brown shirt that doesn't belong, that has no place to go and doesn't match any of the other colors?" And I said, "It's required to be in the center of the display. We just haven't gotten all the product yet." I knew what she was getting at, but I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. She was just getting on my nerves. And so I was playing dumb. And then she said, "No, I think the brown shirt should go into the bag where it belongs." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever, do whatever you want. You can set up the floor display however you want. I'm going to go back and fold up some more clothes." And then as I'm walking to the back, over my headset, she goes, "Angel, this was never about the brown shirt." So at that point, I was honestly so over it that I just wrote up my 2 weeks as soon as I went back to the back and I handed it to her and I told her that I was quitting. And then she was so smug about it and she said, "So soon? I thought we were having such a great time." And I said, "Yeah, I just don't appreciate blatant racism, so I don't think it's going to be a good fit." And then of course she denied it. But the other lady from the beginning, the one who set me up in the back, she was the assistant manager. And she told me that the store manager told her that when she made that comment about, "I would have never hired you if I knew you looked like that," that she said that she was referencing me being black and that she thought my voice was deceptive and very misleading over the phone. And so I ended up calling corporate, telling them all of this and telling them the reason that I quit, as well as the assistant manager. And they did, just to be fully clear, offer me my job back and a higher pay. And the store manager ended up getting fired from Lane Bryant and never allowed to work there again. So staying silent would have just allowed her to continue to discriminate against other people and continue to let the problem exist, which is another reason that I think it is incredibly stupid to do so.
All right, let's talk about a serious subject. First off, racism in D&D. There's been a lot of discussion about it lately, and here's my take on it. It is never okay to be racist at the table. It's never okay to be racist in real life, or homophobic, or it is just not okay to judge another person. I'm Gen X, and I am adherent to Kurt Cobain's wise words, and it is a waste of your life to pretend that you're someone else, and that means it is a waste of your life to pretend that someone is inferior to you just for living their life. We all only have so many loops around the goddamn sun, and I am not going to spend mine worrying about what other people are doing, or what other people are living their lives like, or who another person is. And skin color, fuck, I don't give a shit. That said, if you're running a tabletop role-playing game, you are inherently running a conflict of some nature. Now, this could be a war, or it could be a evil god coming to the planet. Anyway, whatever your campaign is about, there is going to be a build-up to some sort of conflict. Throughout actual world history, whenever there is a period of great conflict, racial tensions rise to the surface. It's just, if you want to go back to World War II, there's the obvious one, but there's also the Americans referred to Japanese people as Japs. The Americans referred to Germans as Krauts. The first thing people do when there's a war of any nature is dehumanize the enemy. There is also, within the fantasy realm, natural strata, like Gimli's line, "Never trust an elf," and Legolas's line about like dwarves being just underground mucky people. There are norms. Dragons will enslave the populace and treat humans like slaves. One of the greatest fantasy series, in my opinion, Dragonlance. You can see that I am a fan. Starts out, well, doesn't start out, but starts with they introduce Fizbin at the very beginning, but then later they bring him back while slaves are being transported in a caravan. It's not that racism is okay in the real world, and it's not okay in the game, but if you're running villains, the villain's morality is not your morality. Vietnam, we called the Viet Cong Gooks? Yeah, or Charlie. The first thing you need to do in a war is dehumanize the other side. And so, while racism, homophobia is not okay in the real world, and I wish we could get rid of it, in game, dehumanizing the other side it's inherent to conflict. Doesn't mean it's okay, but then again, your villains aren't okay people. They shouldn't be okay people. They shouldn't be like calling elves pointy-eared people. Now, I may take a different take on this because my campaign actually deals with the subject of racism and genocide, and I'm actually getting to a point right now where I'm going to be playing out a scene where the elves, who have been for about 10 years committing a genocide against the humans, explain to the humans that what's wrong with this genocide? Why is this evil just because you happen to be the victims? You helped us when we genocided the orcs, when we sent the orcs population to its bare minimum and they fled to the mountains and now they hide underground. Since Tolkien put pen to paper, racism has been a thing. Yeah. Everyone's welcome at my table. You can come in full drag. You can come as yourself. Please, God, please come as yourself. And treat every other player with respect. But there's a divide between what is okay in the real world and what is okay in the fantasy, in the campaign setting. So having racism in your D&D campaign doesn't make you as a person a racist or a homophobe. It just makes what is going on in your world going on. The dehumanization of your enemy is a cornerstone to all conflict. And that's my take. And yeah, sorry.
This is all I got from this video. And let me tell us this. Racism of any type is not an excuse. Racism of any type is not okay. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care. But you and I already know that Black people cannot be racist. But racism from white people is not okay. Now, let me tell you this. I am sure from the story this young, beautiful lady narrated, yeah, I'm sure you picked up something, because I have brought videos of Black people who are, I don't know how to say this so nobody feel offensive. Like, some people say that they sound white. There are some Black people, when they speak, you wouldn't know it's if you are not seeing them, you wouldn't know it's a Black person. Some people have been got employment, probably without going for interview and all that. Face-to-face interview, and they got accepted, probably calls and all that. So she got the job, right? So they are surprised that the person they spoke with sounds maybe like white or any other race, but not Black. So the person that came is Black. That is where her problem starts. So the store manager and co that think that it is okay to be racist to people, or probably because the way you look and all that. For that reason, you do not deserve a job, because they do not like a certain group of people or a certain kind of people for no reason. Mind you, you haven't had any problem with this person, nothing. Just probably because of you being a Black person, she is not comfortable with that. And all they will have to do is to make you very uncomfortable at work. I hate it when people tell you stop talking about racism, that it will go away. Shut the hell up, because I've been here for how many years? I've been here talking about racism every day for how many years, and nothing has gone away. And you are telling somebody to keep quiet, not to talk about what he or she is experiencing as maybe a Black person or a person of color or something like that. You are part of the problem. I am very glad that you spoke up. And then they ended up sacking the person. See, no organization that knows if your company or organization know what they are doing, they will never tolerate racism. Racism is something nobody should ever tolerate or allow in their institution, because it's detrimental, it's very dangerous. I don't care. Just do not be racist. It will pay you more not to be a racist. And you can do better as a human being. You know, the fact that somebody can just dislike you, even without seeing you, without hearing your voice, just dislike you for no reason. Bye for now.